Life.
Okay. All right. Good morning, everyone. This is Michael Venezia, head trader at TradeView Markets and one of the coaches at TradeView Markets. Share screen. There we are, right? Okay, we're right there. Okay. All right. It's the first day of the quarter, this being October 3rd. All right. I got that right, too. I'm 2 for 2 today. All right. So I'm going to log into TradeGATEHub. And like I always say, if I digress, this is the way I log in, just the same as everybody else. Democracy here. Okay. This is all I want to say as I pause it. Okay. If you're missing anything, I try to be on time. I'm on time with everything in my life. I'm very exact to be personal. So I try to be on it as 11 Eastern as best as possible. And if I'm not, I don't mean to disrespect anybody's time. I'm usually in front of the as a matter of fact, I am in front of the desk. I'm just trying to, formulate everything that happens from the last time that I did a video, which was Friday at 11 a.m., this being obviously Monday. All right. So my point is this. If you missed anything, go back to the red YouTube. The red YouTube button is. The video will be posted later. As a matter of fact, the coach's video was even posted an hour ago at 9:30 a.m. And congrats to the team. Bravo. They're right on it because I'm going to watch it afterwards if everybody doesn't. They already got a bunch of views already. Bravo, coach. And this is what we do every day. Coach and I are on Tuesday and Thursdays on 11 Eastern. We're going to start to do, as I said, 11 Thursdays now. I got to cover my screen here so I don't get distracted. So we're going to do 2 videos a week, that being Tuesday and Thursday at 11 o'clock. And I'll be on the rest of the days, 11, Coach 9:30. All right. So I point out to the YouTube just because, first of all, in about an hour, maybe even half an hour now after I finish, this will be posted again to view if you missed anything or go over something. If you missed something, some sort of indicator that if once I post a certain amount of data, you can't really scroll up and get that data back. That's why I always say, Monday morning is the most important amount of data because it's almost a trickle down theory throughout the week. It's almost a short story how I like a lot of these indicators or sentiments or even charts to be dynamic and roll throughout the week. You know what I mean? It's almost like a short story. All right. So get back and get to know. First of all, you also get that back to know what our style is. You know what I mean? If you want to go, it's an advantage and get to know it and get to use it. Okay. So that being said, I'll go back into TradeGATEHub and I'll join MU. Very good, Lewis. All right. So Monday morning being the most amount of data. So I want to, this is, empirical and you could basically, and some of it is qualitative. You can break it down as you want, but I'm going to give you my thought process. Okay. And this is a different time in the market these days as I look at a still shot of myself. All right. So Friday, the market closes. I do my homework. I have my notepad. You know what I mean? It's, I always tell my wife maybe, and it's not a selfish thing either. People understand that, I would say, and I don't think it's suffocating and it's not certainly not choking or unhealthy because my psychiatrist says so, is that I think about the market a lot and stocks a lot, maybe like 75%, 80% of my mind thought, not of charts or all these matrix blinking lights. It's just a trade or whatever flashes through my, I'm not sure if it's for that, but I never really asked anybody that way. So the thing is, when it gets to be Sunday at about 4 o'clock Eastern, when the currencies open, if you will, of Forex and the 4 o'clock Eastern games kick off here on the East Coast, I start looking at my processes. This day is when things are so sensitive, and everybody knows if you have gone back in the YouTube channel or been listening or even reading the business pages, the dollar in the bond market, this day in the bond market being down the most exponentially it's ever been in history, are leading the equities, including including arguably the European indices or vice versa, whichever you want to talk it. But equities take a back seat. So 4 o'clock Eastern, I'm looking at how the currencies open up. I'm looking how the pound dollar opens up. Let me see what commodities I look at here. Just because I'm looking at commodities. I look at the majors. You know what I mean? So when I also look at the dollar yen as the CEO looks at a lot and uses that a lot as a gauge. I'm going to start studying that more, Tim. So when I see if those are very much out of whack, then I know that there's some news either looming or some news out, or something lying beneath. It might be a Black Monday meltdown going. So as I said, Sunday at 4 o'clock, currencies open. And if nothing is dramatic, as a matter of fact, they weren't as they opened yesterday. I think the dollar pound was up. Correct me if I'm wrong, Coach. Nothing was out of whack. As a matter of fact, it's one of them showed a bullish signal, at least for me, or stability, right when I looked at. Okay, so it's 4 o'clock and I see those stabilize and nothing's out of whack at that time. So 6 o'clock Eastern, the futures open. I'm saying, okay, so if the currencies aren't out of whack, then I'm looking to where the futures are opening. I don't look at anything else. I've already written down my stocks. I already talked to my crew. I've already did 90% of my homework that I have to do as of 4 o'clock Eastern Sunday night. 90% of my homework's done. And then the rest of my plan will be derived for after the currencies and the futures open, and actually throughout the night and when I first wake up at, again, 4 o'clock a.m. the next day, Monday. So then I see yesterday the futures at 6 o'clock Eastern, they opened up down a little bit, and the most, you know what, I'll even go to the chart. Bottom line is this, is that they weren't, they were down a little bit. They opened unchanged and they were down maybe 22 handles, never showing any indication of cascading. And the currencies at that given point correlating to 6 o'clock, and I'm just learning this as I go. And I've had $1 for every time I wanted to trade Forex. We could all retire, but you know, I digress. So nothing was at so unless there was some other real-time news that had not happened as 6 o'clock Eastern, then I knew that things were maybe stable. Look at the futures. They would be stable for a second. So let me go to my chart settings. Let me go to my start time because let's go to 6 a.m. Let's go to 2 a.m. How you doing? All right, so where are the SPYs? All right, SPYs even go backwards at 2 a.m. All right, here. So not even down that much, 258. And they rallied, showing that the currency markets were basing. So then I watched the Nikkei. Nothing's wrong with the Nikkei. Nothing's wrong with the Hang Seng, anything like that. I go to bed. All right, so I'm like, I have every scenario priced in. It's all on TradeGATEHub here as the futures break, the SPYs break high in the day. Was my share screen. So now I'm reverberating everything to I have on TradeGATEHub. I'm going to sentiment. I have my charts written down. So then I wake up at like 4 o'clock and I see that the DAX futures, the DAX was the one I was watching. I didn't even look at the ES futures. The only indices that I was watching were the pound dollar and the correct me if I'm wrong, guys, because we have some people that are better than me on analogous trading or equity side with a Forex, Coach and Tim being one of them. So then I look at the DAX was down. It opened down 1.5%, fact. And then our futures were not going down. As a matter of fact, they were unchanged. So I go back to bed and I say to myself that the DAX and the FTSE don't go down from here and they go back up. Where's the DAX right now? The DAX major indices. The DAX as we close is where? Someone want to give me a quote here? It's up 1%. All right. So now that's a bullish sign for me. The DAX was down 1.5% as our futures are down 1%. The most important thing that I was keeping in mind there is I was dozing in and out of consciousness, trading from my bed. As a matter of fact, I wasn't out of consciousness, so I was very much in conscious. I shouldn't even cheapen my trade. So I say, unless the DAX cascades and goes back 2.5, which may be very much so, I can very well go back to sleep and dream about stocks and dachshunds and all that stuff. So then I wake up and then the DAX has stabilized and it was down maybe 0.5%. Our futures were up, and I'll show here going back to the SPYs, and I'll get back to more charts in a second. And this is the chart of the SPYs were the low of the SPYs were at 4 o'clock, 4:30 this morning. They were 356. I woke up and they were 359. Okay. So the basic, and by the way, they closed at 357. So they're up a bunch of handles. So I'm like, all right. So now I'm watching overseas stocks. Credit Suisse was in the news today. A major stock, macro stock that was in the news. Credit Suisse right here. There's the chart. So I'm watching Credit Suisse. I'm still watching the dollar. I'm still watching the bond market. And I am, which bond am I watching? There's the chart on the TLT. Nice job, Lewis. I'm still watching the 2 year, and I'm watching GLD, and I'm watching crude, which opened up nicely and didn't fade. But the reason why the market, as I just signed on, was staying strong because crude didn't fade, but the rest of the market caught up to it. I thought maybe the crude would pull back and it would be rotation. But as I'm going to go back to my full screen right now, I'm trying not to look so I don't get distracted. If the whole screen is green, I hate to throw out some, cheesy cliche, then that's bullish all itself. It's saying they don't even care about rotation. They're just going to get in no matter what and then figure it out later, which I'm not looking. I don't know if that's the case. So that's really my mindset as I go to bed, as I start at 4 o'clock Eastern Friday into 6 o'clock Eastern Friday. I start with the currencies and I see if things are stabilized or out of whack. I formulate a plan to see if that trickles over into the futures. I'm not just looking for the first print at 6:01 Eastern and just going and watching the Cowboy game. I'm watching like 20 minutes. I got my eye on it. You know what I mean? It's not really just because of my job, although it would be because I have a fiduciary responsibility. I'm generally very interested to see what's happening. And we had a call this morning at TradeView about, being hungry about it. You know what I mean? It's not everything to my career at this point hasn't been what's done so far. And I'm not a believer that it's your last trade is you're only as good as your last trade. But in a difficult market and at times that we've seen more things that we've never seen going back, decades, this is a defining moment more than ever for me personally. Not to dissertate, but on a personal note, it is. So what I did a year ago is irrelevant. You know what I mean? So this is a defining moment. It should be for everybody. And if not, you should have a TradeView demo account and get going, man. We got a life preserver. We got 5 lifeguards around you, but we're going to throw you into the deep end, not into the shallow one. We're not going to let you drown, but you're going to learn to swim faster. So I'll get back to it. So then I led up to the open, and then you know what? And I'll leave off my plan with this. As we approached Monday morning, the futures were up. Lewis, you'll edify this if you will. We were up again, and everybody was afraid of the Monday, and I was too. I didn't add to a lot of things. I certainly, as we go to TradeGATEHub here, was aware that things were here. Here was the fear and greed, and aware that the VIX was spent a couple of days over 30, and everything that we give you in TradeGATEHub formulated on what I think to the point where I wake up and sign on the computer, whether it be in bed or going back to sleep or on the phone or watching the indices starts, and it restarts right here. And it starts with me saying good morning. And I'm saying this is let's be honest, in seasonality, maybe if we can survive, and I don't using that type of word. I'm not in survival mode by any means. I'm not even knocking on wood, and I never end, not even knocking on wood. And I understand if some people are, but if you got this far with seasonality, sometimes abating a little bit, this could be a good run. But keeping in mind, this is our macro view. Go over it again. Wall Street Jesus, go over it again. Like I said, I started posting happening now, and I gave you the video of what's going on. The pound was going up. Bank stocks are falling in pre-market. Made a nice trade in FAS. So like that down here. Contra trade. I didn't have a lot of it, but I was in it. And retail stocks look volatile. And this was the video that I posted right above it. So you know what? Watch it. How many minutes was it? Minutes. It was dollars. It was a minute and 35 seconds. And believe me, it's going to get you going into that plan, especially this Monday morning. I keep talking about it as tradition. Helene's charts. All right, these are, should be like X-rays. When I was a kid, the doctor always slid the thing under the light. And I'm like, the guy's like, you have a broken ankle in 9 places. I'm like, I don't see one. When you look at a chart like that, you should be a doctor and know exactly what type of chart that is. And I'm serious. You should, because most do. Because you don't want, when it comes down to game time, you're not worried about the left arm straight, cocking the wrist, man. You just turn around and you shoot it. All right, volume indicator. The stocks were coming down on higher volume, which was a bullish signal for a short-term indicator. Who knows how long it's going to last, if it's even lasting by the time I sign off here. But yet again, we're not sure if it's going to be a Monday morning rug pull. Here was the plan, as it always is. Data coming into today, we were, at one point we were pinned below the green, or actually the most we were down with maybe 23 or 30 handles at one point, which, depending on what stocks were going up. There's a Bank of America opinion. There's the wave, Job. I hope you're happy. Premium, I say facetious. Premium, put call premium exploding, bullish. When you have fear and greed, and you have volume coming in, and you have put calls exploding. Listen, no, I'm not pontificating to try the bottom. You guys know how I trade. I certainly don't trade as heavily as I do off the bottom, and conversely off the top, but I'm in there. I'm an active manager. Alt sectors approaching high testing all-time lows. Maybe you want to short something that bounces off it, bounces. I'm not saying that everybody's, well, the good trades lately have been shorting the bounces off of sentiment, but we're at all-time lows across the board. And by the way, I'm well aware that there's the war of Ukraine going on and there's inflation here, but when we're talking about all-time lows, we're also talking about 9/11, we're talking about the financial crisis, we're talking about the housing crisis, we're talking about COVID, we're talking about administration changes, geopolitical all around the world, and this being a Monday morning as of the last quarter, the third quarter of 2002. It says a lot right there. Upgrades, downgrades, always give it to you. Power scan, top 20 stocks right there, strongest on the board. Go over the charts, and no one could deny it. That's a scan putting in stocks that have a certain market cap, certain revenue growth, have been acting well, relative strength. Just test it. Everyone there looks like a buy, if you will, for the short term. Inside days, hedge mine, by the way, just to show you hedge mine, September 24th, AKRO is on there. AKRO, that was September 24th. Let's go right here to AKRO. So I try not to look at the screen. AKRO, that was posted the 24th. Was the 24th. It was right here, 25 to 33. AKRO gives an example. That's where the smart money was. And you know what, with these bios, one hits one. All you have to do is one, God forbid, or two hit. Couple of charts in Nevada. Earnings for the week. Are we worried about anything? Levi, yeah, it might be a mover on retail. Nothing. Conagra, an inflationary story about food. I probably won't trade it. And that's it. Next, so economic earnings. Charts, there's your earnings for releases for the week, and data should be in there every day during the week. Calendar for today, economic and Fed speak. We got before I was posting every day on gamma squeezes. Remember that, guys, for lack of a better term? Now it's Fed speakers every day I'm posting. I haven't posted anything on a gamma squeeze in a long time. Good call, Lewis. Pre-market movers, give it to you. All right. Vodafone calls. There it was again. I posted on the Jesus feed, been bombing them. Vodafone bulls running 5 times normal. This is what, Thursday and Friday. Here's today's news. Vodafone today, an hour ago, or this morning. Vodafone's in talks for possible combination. Stock was up nicely. That's where the reason why I didn't go heavily into this, if the FTSE or the DAX were in nice territory, this would have been easily a 40, 50,000 share position. Stock's only what, $12? So Vodafone, there was where the big guys were bombing away on option calls. 3 days later, there's news. All right. Bidding for more UCO. Nice trade, Lewis. PDD. You know what, Gerard, good eye. Let's watch the rest of them. Join MU. No surprise. Let me get back to anything. Thoughts? My thoughts are on the video, Lewis. And where are my thoughts now? Going back here. My thoughts are this. It's 11:20 Eastern. We see how Europe closes. We see how the UUP is. We see how GLD is. We see, again, hopefully the VIX is under 30. I want to see if Apple-based. I want to see if Google-based. I want to see if the banks hold up. I want to see if, if the strong stocks in the morning that acted correctly were still acting correctly. We call that good price action here at TradeView Markets. So let's go to one more thing, and that's always what the wise guys are doing because they know more than anybody. And if I talk too fast or went on tangents or even skipped a couple of things, like I go from Spanish to English, or some people do that, especially people who are on the racetrack, they flip in and out. I apologize. Mine's going a mile a minute. Okay, what are the big guys doing here? Anti-VIX update. So they're going to sell a little bit. The market's going up nicely. 22 minutes. RCL bearish. Upstart bearish. There's a guy in Levi. Has earnings later. Has earnings this week. So he's being a wise guy. He's maybe stepping ahead and buying some calls. January, though. This is what? October. That doesn't say anything. So the guy in January says, if they miss, I'm still bullish. So maybe they'll buy the dip. WBD, this is not bullish so far. SPY bullish 12 minutes ago. Q's bearish. IWM bearish. JP Morgan bearish. All right, here's where we think. I'm not seeing much of anything out there today. A few names seeing some weekly activity. Levi, one of the little bets out there, but there's pre-earnings. See, I'm not Jesus, though. That'd be anti Levi, though. I'm going to write that down. It's not getting the highlighter, though. XLE bearish, good. AMD bullish. Let's keep it that way. Anybody talking thoughts? Live trading? Let's look at my feed here. Let's look at the guys that I trust. Nobody here yet. Cent TV, From Hertz. Let's look at Sentiment Trader. Who else? The Real Fly. Dale Pinkert. Well, look what he says. I hear this guy's not bad. Gold. Silver more. See that right here, 26 minutes, gold. We'll give that a retweet, as a matter of fact, for the coach, because he's the head of trader development. I'm telling you, he should be. So he said that about gold, that was September 30th, right? So this is what I said this morning to coach. Where is it? Silver, wow. And the coach on silver. And why did I say wow? Who said that? Chart on silver. How you doing on silver? What a gap up. Now we'll be chasing. Then the AGQ, the triple ETF on silver, which I have some, lagging. Oh, it's 23.90. What is that about? Hold on a second. I'm going to have to get going because I really want to watch this European close. Chart setting. Oh, I know. I have it to 2 a.m. Not a lot of good trading happens at 2 a.m. Remember that. Okay, there's the AGQ. 2370, giddy up. The NEM, how we doing here? I've been typing so fast. Oh, Newmont, there you go. Rolling up. Look at Newmont now. Now a bull flagger, leads to the rest. Nobody wanted it at 40.5. We did at TradeView. Any questions? Thoughts? The Dow Jones Industrials up 620. The VIX is right at 30. The VIX is right at 30. What am I looking at here? The VIX. Daily. We can't tell by the daily. We can look at the 6-minute though on the VIX. We can look at the 10-minute on the VIX. Here's the 10-minute on the VIX. 10-minute on the VIX. This is the trading vehicle, the VIX. So it's at 1995. It was a good year. But a better year for me was what? 1929. It's a great year. I'd love the VIX to go to that 1929's trading vehicle. All right, let's look at the Soxel. Soxel's at the high. It is at the high. SPXS. We're the only ones buying it, right, Lewis, down there? SPXS. They were laughing at us at 18. Now it's 27. Any thoughts, guys? Because I'll leave it here. We'll start trading away. So, all right, as we approach 11:25, you know, it's much like a Friday afternoon. The coach is saying is you're not going to make or break it. Don't listen. Let a lot of things settle. You're, like I said, whatever it seems like hours ago, but let Europe settle, which is closing imminently. Watch the UUP. You know what? Go to this best of breed. You know, go to what we really care about. What has got us here and be privileged to talk to everyone is this. Up high on relative volume. And down on high relative volume. That's it. And range, breakout and range. Price action, good volume, and range. Trade well. We'll see after lunch. If nobody has any questions, I'll take them after lunch. You know the routine. Going to walk Tony P and get back to the routine. Remember, it's a